Hello there. Welcome to Rise and Receive, a reset point in your day where you get to explore how to receive what you most want by unlearning struggle. So today we are in part 3 of this week's series on receiving joy. Receiving joy and opening the floodgates to joy. So if you are new to the brand new series that we're doing here at Rise and Receive with 2021, what we're doing is we're starting off the year by exploring how to get unstuck when there's something that you want. And so each week I'm going to focus on a particular common want or desire, whether it's an inner world thing like joy or peace or love or freedom, or an outer world thing that you want, which would be fulfilling, like money, wealth, well-being and beauty, relationships, jobs, all kinds of great stuff. So we're focusing on the actual connecting of the dots between manifesting your goals and dreams and what receiving has to do with all of it. So if you don't know me, my name is Sonia Miller. I am a speaker, coach, and best-selling author, and I am passionate about teaching people how to receive, because receiving is its own very tangible, concrete skill set. But what happens is that we have blind spots about how to receive our fulfillment. And what we do here during this series of Rise and Receive is I'm all about illuminating the blind spots that we have to receiving. And a receiving blind spot, the way I like to, first of all, blind spots themselves, the way I define a blind spot is when your current point of view hides an essential insight. So if you're stuck, you're not seeing everything you need to see, at least in my world, because I'm all about illuminating what it is that you're not seeing. And once you see it, things shift. So that's what a blind spot is. And a receiving blind spot specifically occurs when you are operating as a human doing versus a human being. And in my world and what I've been teaching with the Receive course, the reason we struggle unnecessarily is because we over-rely on the doing model of power, and we are malnourished and disconnected from the being model of power. When you understand that being is receiving and how being, what it is, A, B, how to experience it and how it could ever be powerful, when you really start to understand the power of being, then all of that hard work that we over rely on because it's all we know how to do, that starts to soften. The struggle starts to soften. And all of the things that you've been working hard for can start to come into your life because they truly are lining up, waiting for you. One of the fundamental presuppositions in everything that I teach is that life always offers kindness. There's always kindness right here, right now. But if we're stuck in seeking mode, which means we're looking for something that we don't have, we can't actually see what's here. So point of view, shifting your point of view is everything. And that's basically the theme of the entire Receive course. Awareness is the key to everything. And receiving is the simplest thing in the world when you train your awareness. Okay, so with that as background, today's blind spot is what I call the selectivity blind spot. That's what we're going to talk about. And because blind spots by definition are blind, you're blind to them, I always like to give you clues so that you can start to recognize when one of those blind spots may be at work sabotaging your efforts. So the key words that you want to kind of pay attention to as a clue is you're dealing with the selectivity blind spot if you are avoiding pain or resistant to something. Okay? If you are avoiding pain or in avoidance of anything, discomfort, or resistant to something, that's going to cause you to become selective about what you receive. And when you become selective about what you receive, you block the flow. So what I'm going to do now is I always use a card from my brand new Receive card deck as inspiration for the message. And this week we're focusing on receiving joy. So I've been referencing this in part 1 and part 2. And once again, we're going to look at the card. And for part 3, I'm going to read you a different segment. It's a little bit longer, but it's really good. And if you want to do a deep dive into the whole card, I'll include a link to it because I did that last year. And so there's an entire video for each card of the deck. Here we go. So I invite you to just sit back and listen to this and see how this might relate to what you need to hear to open the floodgates to get unstuck around receiving joy. Like peace, beauty, power, freedom, appreciation, and well-being, joy is already here for you to experience. I'm going to say that again. Joy is already here for you to experience. And yet most of us get in the way of our own joy and don't even know it. We do this because we mistakenly believe that feelings are or should be permanent. So when pain comes, we fear that it is here to stay and we have to protect ourselves and keep additional pain away. We also think that when joy comes, it should stay, and we try desperately to hold on to it for fear that we will lose it forever. This misunderstanding causes us to keep a guard at the door to our hearts. We become selective and controlling about what we will and will not allow ourselves to feel. When you believe that you must protect yourself from feelings you don't want, you will struggle in your capacity to receive joy. However, when you understand that all of life is here right now, that nothing is missing and it's all available to you, and that you can experience it by allowing it to flow to you and through you, not only can you open up to the joy that is always available, but you also begin to trust that life always offers kindness. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. As you become willing to be less selective about the feelings you feel, you'll receive the opportunity to discover that your heart is capable of much more than you realized, and expand in your capacity to receive tremendous joy. So, you may have heard me talk about the selectivity here in the card. Okay? Where did I read that? I can't find the word, but it's in here if you hit rewind and play. So it specifically names the selectivity. So let me talk now about the selectivity blind spot. Okay, this card points to, and I need to look at my notes because this is a brand new format for me. Okay, that an essential receiving principle, and it is this: for you to receive what you do want in your life, you must learn how to receive what you don't want. But what we tend to do when we are in the hunter's point of view, the hunter, the provider, the human doing, the doing model of power, what that has us do is focus on what we want to the exclusion of all else. That's what a hunter will do, okay? The hunter will feel hunger pain, okay, and will decide what it wants. So it has identified, it's the intention versus invitation that you hear me talk about. So it has this intention. I'm going to get a rhinoceros. Okay. And so it gets its tools and it takes its focus and it zeroes in. Okay. It becomes very, very selective. And so it goes out and hunts, right? The problem is that when you become selective about what you do want, then anything else that doesn't fit is going to be not an option. Okay, you're not going to acknowledge it. And furthermore, if it becomes a distraction, if it causes you pain, if it's something just really just that you don't like at all, what will tend to happen is now you will attach yourself to it. And that's what the hunter will do. It will do battle. Okay, so we become attached to the things that we don't want by either fighting it, resisting it, okay, or Even if you run away, you're attached to it because your focus is all on, I got to get away from that threat. And when you become attached to something, you cannot receive anything else. So instead of the don't want flowing through you, okay, and just passing on by so that there's now space to receive the kindness of life, that receiving space gets blocked. Okay, so how do you get unstuck? Okay, you need to become willing, and let me check my notes again. Okay, to remember this, and this was in the card, all right? Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. You suffer when you become attached to something, and the flip side of that is resistant to something. So what happens is because we're afraid of pain and don't know how to deal with it, all right, we think that we need to protect ourselves, just like the card said, all right? But here's the thing. When you learn how to develop a relationship to pain, where you understand that if you let it be here, pain will come, sadness comes, fear comes, anger comes, and it doesn't feel good, but you let it be here rather than battling it, it will move on through. It will pass. And while you will feel the discomfort of it, and sometimes it's intense, it will pass. And there is always peace and a relief or rest. There's something that feels better. And in that spaciousness now, because you're not battling, okay, then you can receive the next thing. And that's what allows you to be a constant invitation. Receiving is invitation. So when you start to change your relationship to pain and you then practice being unselective, which is a fundamental principle of receiving, you start to receive everything as sacred. So not only can you receive the things that you do want, but you receive unexpected blessings, unexpected windfalls, unexpected leads and next steps and opportunities, and just things start to show up in your life, including peace and well-being. I just started a brand new program the other day, the Feel Worthy program. I had an orientation, and one of the things I had the women do is share how long they'd been in, my orbit and what brought them to this course. And consistently, the women who'd been studying this work, they were there. It just happened to be all women, but I have men clients too. But consistently, the message was, I don't know how this stuff works, but I just keep sticking with it and practicing it, and things show up. I receive peace, I receive well-being, I receive money, jobs come in, babies come in, relationships come in. Because what happens is when you become unselective and you learn how to not only receive your don't wants or your do wants, but your don't wants have freedom to move on through, the flow happens. We open the floodgates. Joy is within you. But when you are avoiding pain, it's kind of like it's underneath and it's trying to push up, but you're pushing it down because you're attached to it. But when the pain can flow, then the joy starts to have space to reveal itself. Okay, so I hope that is giving you some new ways, a new point of view about how to shift into being and opening the floodgates and receiving the kindness of life and the flow in ways that maybe you've never thought about before. That's what's available to you. So how do you activate this? How do you practice this receiving? Well, Rise and Receive is designed to help you open the floodgates immediately. We activate the power of invitation. I've been saying this in the last 2 calls of this week, so I'll remind you your willingness mantra, which is, I am willing to expand in my capacity to receive the joy that is right here, right now. Willingness is a state of being. When you are being, an invitation with no selective focus, but you're open to receiving, expanding the capacity to receive joy, you've now put your attention on what you want and you've invited it in essence, which is this invisible realm of feeling. And then life provides the kindness, whether you need to connect with, wisdom or an idea, or the phone rings and your kid called and you've been missing them and you wanted that kind of joy, or you never know how it's going to come. The being model is messy. It is not linear like the doing model, okay? It's feeling-based, it's experience-based, but after all, that's what we want. We want to feel joy. We don't think joy. We don't capture joy. It moves through us. So this opportunity is all about discovering the power of being. And it's really, if you have been disconnected from it, it's a beautiful discovery process, but it tends to be unfamiliar for a lot of people. So the way we teach receiving, the way I teach receiving, is a very simple 3-step process. ALI, which stands for awareness, let it be here, and invitation, which I've touched on today throughout our Rise and Receive, okay? It's incredibly simple. It's so simple that your doing, thinking mind will say, can't be this simple. It is, and the proof is in the pudding. However, it's unfamiliar. So if you would like to explore how to receive and experience it very quickly, because it's really just a practice of awareness and a practice of beingness, I invite you to take my free Receive class. It's pre-recorded, it has a video, and it has handouts, and all you have to do is go to receiveclass.com, put in your name and email, and you will receive the webinar recording. Set aside 70 minutes. Let this be a gift of presence and beingness in your relationship with you, and you'll get to connect with what it is that you're ready to receive in 2021, in the next 6 to 12 months, and start practicing receiving, the awareness practice of receiving. Watch what happens. And then if you want some more support, you can always take next steps. So there's other links that I'll include for you, but that's the best place to start. Other than that, keep showing up to Rise and Receive, because this stuff will sink in deeper and deeper. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next week. We will start a new topic. I've yet to determine what it's going to be, but it's going to be from the Receive Your Wants suit in the card deck. And we'll focus another week on blind spots and opening the flow gates. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you at the next Rise and Receive.